There it goes. Okay.
Hello folks, I'm Fred Robertson. This is Erik Christensen. We're also known as Sanford and Son. I'm Sanford's son, and we're going to give you our Derby selections along with a little bit extra on the Oaks and the Woodford at the end. Last year we gave you all on my blog the top 3, 1, 2, 3, Oaks, Woodford, Derby. We gave you the triple and we bet it. We bet $100, picked 3, and we hit it. So we hope we can do as good this year.
And we still lost money on the day.
Yeah, we still lost money on the day. Yeah, we never said. All right. Okay, here we go. First, I'm going to start off. I'm going to give you my top 2 in the Derby. And I'm wearing the colors here of Dortmund. Now, I think this is going to be a really close race. I'm not that confident that Dortmund's going to win, but I have to give you one horse, and Dortmund's going to be that horse. I believe that he's shown that he is just a tough horse with a lot of heart. And I believe in the stretch, he will be able, at the very finish line, to be able to run down American Pharoah. So as you can tell, I like Bob Baffert's 2 horses. I think these are possibly the best 2 horses he's ever brought to the Kentucky Derby, and he's brought several very, very good horses, such as Real Quiet and a few others. So I like Dortmund. I've been liking him for a long time. He has never been beaten, and I think he got a great post position with the 8. I also think Pharoah got a good post position with the 18. Keep them both out of trouble. They should get good position for either a stalking trip or possibly Pharoah out in front. That's a possibility with a horse with as much speed as he has. I'm going with Dortmund. Erik's going to go with his top 2.
So our top 2 are the same. And really the fact that they're Fred's top 2 is kind of part of his education, part of the education that I've provided for him as I've brought him closer to Bob Baffert over the years. For me, the decision, it's an agonizing decision. I've gone back and forth. Really, in a lot of ways, my heart is with Dortmund. I believed in him from the beginning. He was brilliant in his comeback victory in the San Felipe. But ultimately, the splinter that remains in my mind is I feel like that if Bob Baffert could only run one of these 2 horses in the Kentucky Derby, he would run American Pharoah. He's been a super talent. I think the first day that he was on the grounds with Baffert, Baffert believed him to be a top-tier Kentucky Derby contender. Nothing's gone wrong along that way. He didn't get a run in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile because of some foot issues, but ultimately he put him on a process that brought him back, first in the Rebel and then in the Arkansas Derby. He was smashing in both of those victories. And, you know, who am I to select Dortmund over Pharoah when I think Bob Baffert is selecting Pharoah over Dortmund? So I'll do the same. I'll take American Pharoah on top, and I, like Fred, believe that there's a very good chance that these are simply the 2 best horses in an extraordinary Kentucky Derby field. As good a Kentucky Derby field as we've seen in my memory. Now, I can't speak for Fred's memory.
I go back to Affirmed in Aladar when I was already in my 20s, so it goes back a ways. But I would say these
that's the year I was born.
These 2 horses could compare to those 2. I really think that. I think American Pharoah and Dortmund could compare to Affirmed in Aladar.
Well, I mean, and I can't believe how many old-timers have talked about the comparison of these 2 horses to Seattle Slew as well. Mm-hmm. Now, usually you hear the comparisons to Seattle Slew, and it's because a horse comes in undefeated, which Dortmund is. But a lot of people believe that American Pharoah has the capabilities to potentially win a Triple Crown. They also feel like he moves like Seattle Slew did, athletic, agile, fast, and very capable. I think he wins. I think it's a Donnybrook, a knockdown, drag-out fight to the end. But I think ultimately American Pharoah holds on and defeats Dortmund.
Who do you like for your second tier?
Okay, there's a couple horses. Well, first of all, I think that there's a significant second tier. Second tier that in a lot of years would be the first or second or third selection in the Kentucky Derby. I think it's that deep. So there's a number of horses that we could talk about. You know, everyone from Frosted to Upstart, International Star, Carpe Diem. All these horses have a chance in the race. It wouldn't shock me maybe with the exception of International Star, if any of them won. But for me, my second tier is the UAE Derby winner Mubtajiz. Mubtajiz. He's I think he's a real threat in here. The UAE Derby now being run on the dirt. He's run twice at basically the distance he's run in 1 mile and 3/16, which is the distance of the Preakness. He was smashing in his last performance, won by 8 lengths. I think he's really interesting. If he's 20-1 on the morning line, then I really like him. I wonder to what extent the wise guys will feel the same. It might bring his price down, but we'll see. And then Materiality. I can't help but like this horse. Ran a 1:10, winning the Fountain of Youth, and only his 3rd race of his career. Todd Pletcher trained. Velasquez sides with Carpe Diem, but he gets Castellano. That's the Eclipse Award winner, so very capable jockey, although I don't think he ran a very good race, rode a very good race when he lost to Ord with Normandy Invasion. But that being said, there's a lot of talent here. But I do believe that the Curse of Apollo is real. I think that there's a reason why it's been 120 plus years since a horse that hasn't raced as a 2-year-old has not won the Kentucky Derby. And I think the reason is that they need that foundation as a 2-year-old. They need to be involved in these races consistently. They need to have raced 5 or 6 times before they're ready for a race like the Kentucky Derby, especially when you have 20 horses. And then the other, and I'll let Fred talk about this in a little bit more detail, is Firing Line. Fred and I both like Firing Line from the beginning. Fred a little bit more even than myself. I don't think he'll win. I mean, ultimately, Firing Line and Dortmund had it out twice. They went eyeball to eyeball, and in both occasions, Dortmund won. I think since then, Dortmund has only gotten better. He's only grown into this massive frame. I think the distance probably favors Dortmund against Firing Line, as maybe 1.25 miles is a bit too long, but I'll kick it back to Fred. Oh, yeah. And Gary Stevens.
And Gary Stevens. I think that's the thing I want to mention about Firing Line is you get Gary Stevens. I think in a race that's going to need a rider that understands pace and where to be, I think you can't get a better rider than Gary Stevens. I think his experience just sets him apart. He's also ridden very well in several derbies. I think he's won 3, and he's simply a great rider. I think that his choice of Firing Line means something, and I really still do like Firing Line. I also think that the Sunland Derby was massively overlooked simply because it was in Sunland. Much the same way that Dortmund and Firing Line's great race was overlooked at Los Alamitos. Both of those races kind of got short shrift a little bit from handicappers. So I like Firing Line quite a bit. The other ones I definitely agree with Mubtajiz. I think it's kind of crazy that he was 20-1 morning line. I agree with everything that Erik said about Mubtajiz. I also want to mention, though, that Decaux, the trainer, is a great trainer. Yeah. And is way above what most people are doing in the United States. He really is. And that rider, Soumillon, I believe is how you pronounce it, from France, is also a great rider. So that horse has those advantages. And I don't quite rank Materiality as high, but he would have been in my next bunch down. Now, for my horse that I would include in the second 3, International Star. Horse has done nothing wrong and also seems to be very intelligent, able to make a move from almost any place on the racetrack. He's won 3 in a row, and I think he's super tough. So I'll go on to my next tier, and that would be, and we're going to go a little bit quicker here. I would say that I would include a long shot like Danzig Moon in the next tier. A big jump up in the bluegrass. I think that's possible. I would also include Upstart in the next bunch, because I think he's had a couple tough outs that really where he could have run a bit better. I think you have to say Frosted in the next bunch. And despite the 2-hole, I think you have to say Carpe Diem. So that would be my next bunch of horses. Erik, who would you put down?
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is that You know, of these, what's it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, I think there's 9 horses in the race that can win, and those are the ones that we've mentioned. I think the truth of the matter is that if you're looking for a huge bomb in this race, you want to be playing trifectas and exactas and hope one of those horses comes in and finishes second or third. I think the truth of the matter is there's simply, it's hard for me to imagine with the talent that is in this top tier of 8 or 9 horses that somebody races a big enough race to beat all of them. So, I mean, the way that I'm looking at the long shots is I'm going to take this second and third tier and I'm going to evaluate where the public's at versus where I'm at and try to find value that way. The truth of the matter is that one of these 9 horses, 2 of these 9 horses, maybe even 3 of these 9 horses are going to be 20 to 1 or plus. And none of these horses are of the talent to be at that kind of price. And so I think that I'll do what a lot of the wise guys are going to do, which is sit back. And I'm not really a wise guy, but I'll just. I was going to say that. You beat me to it. I'm just going to sit back, see where the prices are. If one of these horses floats to 20, 25, even 30 to 1, then I think that they're definitely worthy of a look, at least as part of the pari-mutuels. The last thing that I'll say is that the way that I'm really going to play this as a pari-mutuel player is to support the dynamic duo that a Baffert has. And like I said, I've had a hard time deciding who was Batman and who was Robin. But the truth of the matter is that I think I like those 2 horses against the field better than I like either one of those 2 horses against one another. And so I'll be playing pari-mutuels where I double on the end to American Pharoah and Dortmund. And if I get there, and I probably won't, but if I do, I'll be satisfied that I have those 2 horses against the rest of the field.
Yeah, I think a real good strategy is to go 8-18, 8-18, all in the trifecta, 8-18, all 8-18, and all 8-18, 8-18. I think that's a really solid betting strategy that
I have
kind of
no idea
incorporates
what
that.
he's
I'm saying you put all in first, second, and third position with the 8 and 18. That's what I'm saying. Now, we're going to give you real quick, for the uninitiated, they perhaps didn't understand that. Really quick, I'm going to give you my Oaks Derby double. I think that is, I'm a Chatterbox. That's the only horse I like at all in that race. And I know there's others that are going to get money. But I think I'm a Chatterbox, the horse to beat, 2 American Pharoah and Dortmund. And then I'll give you also my triple, which I think you have to spread out in the Woodford. I don't think you can stick to one or 2 horses. So there, I'm a Chatterbox in the Oaks. 2, and I have to look real quick at the Woodford. 2, I'm going to give you 1 bomb. Umgayo, the Australian horse, also trained by same guy who trains Mubtahiz. I'll also say Finnegan's Wake. You dang right. That's why I like it. Finnegan's Wake I like. Stephanie's Kitten I like. And another Chad Brown horse, Slumber. I think Slumber may be overlooked in this race and has a big shot. So I'm going to say 4 horses there. I'm a Chatterbox single. And then the 2 horses in the Derby, $2 ones cost you $16. I think would be a great investment.
And for me, I'm really not that invested in the Kentucky Oaks, and the reason is that I have to make sure that I save all of my little money for Saturday. But that being said, I mean, I think that, I'm a Chatterbox, certainly can win the Kentucky Oaks, but I'm gonna take Stellar Wind and continue with my unapologetic West Coast bias. I think this horse is ready. He's been great. She's been great. She was unbelievable in the Santa Anita Oaks. I'll take her there too, although I will say that if I was playing it, I would probably try to include some prices and see if I could maybe hit a horse there. And then in the Woodford, it's tough. There's no Wise Dan, so that's unfortunate. because that would certainly simplify things. You know, Finnegan's Wake has really gotten good on the West Coast, and
I like Finnegan's
you know, I think he's interesting. Jack Milton with Castellano has been riding well and is starting to suggest that maybe he can get some longer distances. I'm gonna take the girl though. I'm gonna take Stephanie's Kitten. You know, I don't think there's anybody better in the business than Chad Brown on the turf, and you know, I'm somewhat of a horse racing feminist, so.
I never thought I'd heard you say that, but it may be true.
So I'll take Stephanie's Kitten, but like Fred said, my really for me that pick 3 isn't as interesting as the pari-mutuel plays that I'll make on Saturday, primarily because I think you know, I like the favorites in the Oaks, but I would probably go deeper, and then, you know, I think the Woodford is basically a spread, and I would play it as such on Saturday. So.
That's all we got, folks. Peace.
Thank you.